Procreate is such a powerful tool for artists. Not only do I do full digital paintings with Procreate, but I also do a lot of planning for my actual paintings. And I design the wood cutouts that I offer at shelleyparkerart.com. On the screen here, I have a 4x6 canvas and a reference photo that I really fell in love with. I'm going to go to my layers panel and turn off the reference photo just so I can show you just the sketch, the design that I've created. This will go to my laser and be engraved onto the wood panel that I'll offer to people who would like to paint this piece. So let's go ahead and turn that sketch off, turn back on the reference photo, and I'll begin to show you just a little bit of the planning that I do. And at this point, I'm ready to really study the colors. Procreate really is helpful for helping us to study the color, see what the color actually is. Sometimes when we look at a whole piece, it's a little bit difficult to tell exactly what the color is. But if we can isolate the color and really study those, we'll learn a lot and it will help us be very successful when we sit down to mix paint. So to begin to study the colors on this reference photo, the very first thing I want to do is make sure that I have my opacity turned all the way up. Many times as I'm planning and having the reference photo, I can move the opacity. So I'm just going to check that, just slide the slider all the way up to maximum. So now with the reference layer chosen, meaning that it is highlighted in blue, I can begin to study some colors. Let's start out with this really dark water. If I hold my finger down on the screen of the iPad, I can move around to any area that I really want to study. Let's look at this blue here. Once I release, the color picker, the color circle up here changes to that color. So if I tap it with my Apple Pencil, I can see exactly where that color lives in this color window. It's important to know that I'm in the classic view of the color picker, and that's really the window. The classic view is what I like to use as I'm studying colors. So I like to make myself a road map, just a real simple reference that I can look at as I'm painting. So what I can do is come over to my layers, again, the two squares, and I can just tap the plus button. Now I've got a new layer open, and I can go to my pencil. Maybe I'll just choose the acrylic round. This brush is a brush I use all the time, and it is available for free at shelleyparkerart.com. So I'm just going to come in and color in a little area over there. I'll show you by turning off the reference photo that the color is here. So now I want to go ahead and I'm just going to make myself a little note. So maybe I'll write gray on the blue. And you can label these however it makes sense to you. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be fancy. We're just giving ourselves, like I said, just a little bit of a roadmap. So let's go ahead and go back to our reference photo, have it highlighted again, and let's pick another area that might be a little bit confusing to really discern what the color is. And one of those colors I found was this color on the leaf of this lily flower right at the base. So again, I'm holding my finger down on the screen until I get this window, move it around until I get right at the color that I want to look at, release, and now it is populated in our color picker. So if I tap the color picker, I can see this color is again a gray, but a warm gray. It's a gray in the yellow area, the yellow window. So I can tap my layers, go back to our notes layer, tap my brush, go back to the round, the acrylic round, make a little swatch of it, And then I'm going to change brushes to the technical pen and write gray to yellow. So I would continue to do that. I won't keep doing that with you here. I think that you kind of get what I'm talking about there. But now I would just continue to do that same process for other areas that I know might make me wonder when I sit down to paint. Let's go ahead and pick over here. See what this highlight of this water is. Pretty much the same as the blue that we picked over here, just lighter in value. When you look at it, you might think maybe it's a little bit of a purple. It still shows up on the blue. So again, that's just an interesting thing to know. Let's also, I know in my painting, I want to do some of these shadows that are under the flower here. So let's go ahead and pick this color in the shadow. This is really interesting to me because, again, it's a very dark gray, but again, in the yellow area of our color picker. So that tells me that this shadow is very warm. So at that point, I would go ahead, just like we've done for the other colors, make a little swatch and a little note and create my overall map. I can just keep doing that. And you can see how the color changes if you leave your color window open. So that color changed a little bit. This one was a little bit more to the yellow. This one is a little bit more to the orange. Let's pick a color over here. You see how that changed? So it's, again, still a very dark gray, but a little bit more green there. So all of those little tests that I've done will help me to be able to create some of these differences in value and differences between temperatures of the colors. So use this tool, really study. I think that if you spend a little bit of time studying colors, one, it will help you when you actually sit down to paint. So when I take my iPad down to my studio to paint, I'll have a little map here and little notes that I've made that will remind me of what those colors were. And you'll really begin to train your artist eye to see some of those colors. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that this helps you. If you try this technique, please let me know, and let me know the most surprising thing that you learned in studying your reference photo. And of course, subscribe. I'll have lots more videos.